Hello guys, so in this video I would like to talk about the champion build that I managed to get the Hardcore Legend achievement with. As you guys might know, there are 4 hardcore achievements that you can get on Steam, one for each difficulty and one for the Eternal Embers DLC. Now the character did inherit a few items, but nothing major, as you will see, and all the items she's wearing was found by the character herself. Therefore, I would say that the playthrough was around 90% solo self-found, and I do believe that with this build you can go ahead and create your very first character, or if you are going completely solo self-found, that's okay as well. I want to preface the build itself by saying that unfortunately the player base of Titan Quest these days is quite small, and the game doesn't have a hardcore permadeath mode or option, only the mentioned Steam achievements, and so it can be a bit hard to find a guide out there for your class, and the ones you do find might have been written without much consideration for hardcore. As a result, I did end up theory crafting a bit, even though I rarely do it with Diablo-like games, and I encourage everyone to do the same with some hopefully useful tips mixed in. I do martial arts, and as the coach would say, I'm teaching you where to look, but what you will see is your own decision. That being said, I'm really far from being a TQ expert or anything. I'm a beginner myself as well, and I only managed to get this done because of the veterans I was bugging with my endless questions, especially, and sorry, I'm probably butchering the name with my pronunciation, Lou Samil Danach. So I really recommend his channel. Go check it out. The link will be in the description, and I also put every useful guides and forum posts that helped me out in the description, so you don't have to search around to find these. So the character is a champion, which is nature and warfare. The two most common builds for champions are the pet build with minus recharge gear, so you can keep ancestral horn up at all times, or a dual wield melee build. I went with the latter, and this video will focus on that, as this build is a lot easier to work with when you are going with a solo self-found. If you take a look at the gear, you'll see that it's decent, but it's nothing too crazy, and I also want to mention it here, that as a general advice, don't try to get the exact same gear that I have. I'll mention what I think are the more important stats to look out for each gear slot. So for weapons, I have double Myrmidon Sting. This axe is a monster infrequent item dropped by the Pale for missed mobs in Act 4, and despite it being a monster infrequent, it drops quite frequently actually. It is far from being the best weapon you can have here. The monster infrequent Enhear's Fate dropped by the Enhear mobs in Act 5, for example, would be better, most likely, but I simply went with the stings because they were good enough, and I just didn't want to bother with trying to farm something better. For weapons with dual wield champion, you generally want something with big fat damage. The stats that are good are increased physical damage, increased percentage physical damage, attack speed, additional dexterity or strength, offensive ability to help you crit more often, and plus to some skills that you are using, plus to health, plus to some resistance, and defensive ability. Any of these stats add to your character, they are all beneficial, but the simplest way to look at it is that if your DPS goes up, then it's probably a good upgrade. One thing that you should keep in mind is that the attack speed limit for dual wield is 200%. So try to pay attention not to overcap it too much, because at that point you are just wasting stats. So for example, in later stages it might be a good idea to go with a slower but harder hitting weapon, because with Valor of Achilles, and I think that's what I have it in these as well, yeah, you can probably reach the limit anyways, and at that point you want the most damage you can get, as well as high enough offensive ability that you constantly do critical damage. Remember that with relics and charms, instead of putting them together in your inventory, like most of the time we do with the auto sort, you can put them together in your item itself instead, and that way you will get guaranteed completion bonuses. So for example, here I get the attack speed, and I believe that one, yeah, probably the attack speed is the guaranteed bonus for Valor of Achilles. But there's a list, and I will put it in the description, where you can check it out for each relic and charm, what is the completion bonus that you will get for sure when you are putting them together in your item. Yeah, and for every other gear slot, I just try to focus on survivability. So while of course additional physical damage is helpful here as well, I mainly focus on getting plus flat health, percentage health, because simply you can't have too much health in hardcore. Resistances, especially vitality resistance, defensive ability, attributes, and if I could help it, get these in an item that has decent armor. Now that being said, my gear consists of layered corselet. The pierce resistance, the physical resistance, and the vitality damage resistance are really nice on it, as well as the sound resistance. So everything on this item is really nice. I do wish it had some health, but yeah, I just didn't find anything better with the items I have, that I ended up staying with this for since level 42 actually. Um, for rings, I have this with just strength, dexterity, and health, with the Dionysus wineskin relic. For helm, I went with a hallowed helm. You can shop these in Act 3, I believe, in each difficulty, and just it's really nice. Vitality, damage resistance is super important. You can put a really nice charm called Crystal of Erebus in here. It also gives you +2 all skills, so really nice. It's easy to just shop it from a vendor from Act 3 in all difficulties. For my other ring, I found this Crest of Murag again. Resistances, health, dexterity, offensive ability, defensive ability, stun resistance. So yeah, a lot of great stuff in here, and this was one of the items that I ended up using with the Forge quest in Act 5, and I honestly I don't really remember what I got here. That plus 37 armor is for sure, but the other one I don't really remember. Probably one of the resistances I got from, or maybe the dexterity, I'm not sure, I got from the Forge quest. For gloves, the best there is the Stonebinder cuffs. You can farm this in Act 1 in the Minotaur's Labyrinth at the very last checkpoint or waypoint, or Rebirth Shrine, sorry, and you just go backwards and kill all the Gorgons there, and you will eventually get this. It's sometimes a bit annoying to farm this one, but it's really worth it, and yeah, it's hard to find something better for this slot. For necklace, Myrmidon's pendant. Again, big resistances and health. It's actually really nice that physical damage plus yeah, that helps the character out as well. And for boots, Hespera's Greaves, that +2 skills in nature is nice, movement speed is good on boots, really nice defensive ability, and lightning and poison resistance. So with all of this, and also Heart of the Oak active, and we are in legendary difficulty, by the way. So here you can see that my stats. So 13k health, and so one of my friends who is playing the game, my good friend, he's saying that you should have the health that you should have is your level times 100. And why you shouldn't really it's a really nice formula, you shouldn't take it too seriously, but if you are way below this, then it can become a bit tricky to get through the game in hardcore. Apart from this like threshold, I also like to get around 10k health for legendary if I can help it, with decent resistances. So yeah, big strength, big dexterity. For attributes, I mostly go with, so I get enough strength to equip Stonebinder and enough dexterity to equip it, and this is regardless of what is the build I'm going with. I will do this for sure. And after that, depending if I'm an intelligence based or strength based character, my points will be distributed between strength or intelligence and health and dexterity. So that's basically the formula. I think that with all this plus 2 strength and +2 dexterity gear, that I don't know, I keep putting these on because usually they also come with health and they are really nice. I don't think that I would put more points into strength or dexterity than what I need to equip the gear. And same with intelligence based characters. Once I can equip all the gear that I want to equip, then all the remaining points are going in straight into HP. So you can see my resistances. It's I think it's okay. And yeah, really nice damage. My attack speed, as I mentioned, it's the cap is 200% for dual wield, and when I'm going with onslaught and yeah, I do overcap it, which is a bit unfortunate, but yeah, it's just good enough for me. And yeah, 80% stun resistance, which is nice, but we have trap resistance at 0%. That can be a bit annoying, and I did almost die a few times because yeah, I was just sitting ducks, and yeah, it took a little bit of time when I could move again because of this 0% trap resistance. So this offensive ability, I don't really know any thresholds here. I know that this is enough that I'm critting all the time. And for the defensive ability, I would like to have a little bit more. There's a YouTube channel called Clex Plays. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he recommends 1,000 for legendary. I will link his channel in the description. He has two really all of his videos are really awesome, but game mechanics wise, he has his defenses guide and dealing damage video that are both really awesome, and if you can, go ahead and check those out. And I'm not sure if there's anything interesting on here. Yeah, so that's about it for stats. So if we take a look at the build itself, and first I go through the easier picks. So of course, maxed out Warfare Mastery, maxed out Nature Mastery. I maxed out Weapon Training for the additional offensive ability and attack speed. Maxed out the entire dual wield tree, of course, to be able to dual wield, and all these percentage chance to be used passives are really nice because we are attacking at a really nice attack speed, and these are being procced all the time basically. I also maxed out the dodge attack for added survivability, and maxed out the battle standard with the passive. This is one of the best skills in the game. Also maxed out the entire onslaught tree. This gives a little bit of additional survivability as well, but more importantly, it helps you deal more damage. It increases your DPS. I also put 1 point into Warhorn and into Doomhorn for the stun, and maxed out Ancestral Horn for the boss fights. For nature, I went with maxed out Heart of Oak for the additional health, with Permanence of Stone for the additional elemental resistance, and 1 point into Refresh, so I can summon wolves more quickly, so that I can summon the ancestral warriors more quickly, and also that I can put down the battle standard again faster. Yeah, and a few points, probably 5 points, not 5, sorry, give me a sec. 4 points, yeah, sorry, 4 points into Call of the Wild, 1 point into Mole and Survival Instinct, and then maxed out Strength of the Pack, so the wolves are buffing me with this plus percentage physical damage. 1 point into Nymph, and maxed out Overgrowth for additional survivability. And then 1 point into Plague, and maxed out Fatigue, and I would probably max out Susceptibility. Sorry. Next, I'm not really sure, but yeah, probably this would be the next skill that I would max out. And so yeah, so a little bit more of my, I guess, interesting or a bit of my personal choices with the build is that I ended up putting 0 points into Battle Rage. I really dislike that in order for Battle Rage to proc, I need to be hit. This is also procs if I dodge the attack, so at least with dodge attack, I'm not actually working against myself. But even though I'm a male character, if I can help it, I'm always trying not to get hit. For example, when I go into battle, I fire out my stun right away, and I try to kill the mobs before the stun is over. And I also really don't need the additional offensive ability. It's a bit of useless at this point for my character because I'm critting all the time as it is. So later on I may put 1 point here, but what I read from on the forums, that it really shines when it's maxed out, and I just don't really feel like it's worth the points. So I ended up skipping it. I was also thinking of putting 1 point into Warwind. It's really nice for closing the gap between yourself and the mobs, but as you can see, I'm pretty full with the quick slot bar, and I didn't really felt like I need it, so I ended up skipping it. um, I also don't really want to put more points into Warhorn. The meteor radius is good enough. The stun duration is good enough as well for me. I might put more points into Doomhorn at some point later for the the reduction to enemies' health increases. But yeah, I just felt like at level 71, it's good enough like this. Um, going going on to the nature tree for maybe a little bit more controversial choices. So I personally don't recommend regrowth beside normal at all. Not even if you are going with a full pet build, unless you are doing some kind of special challenge or something. I read multiple guides that say keep your wolves healthy. I completely disagree. Just resummon them. It's really simple. With refresh, you can get 2 wolves out really quickly, and so I just don't recommend this skill at all. Um, and also with the bonuses that your pets are getting from the quests and for the difficulty increases. As the difficulty increases, they also get bonuses, and at the end of the day, they just don't really die that often. And yeah, I just don't recommend this skill. Briar Ward. So here, Sanctuary looks really nice, but again, I tend to justify putting points elsewhere, so I didn't get it at all with dual wield, and probably, honestly, I would skip this skill with most nature builds. Um, with wolves, so I wanted enough points in Call of the Wild so I get 2 wolves, and the a bit more interesting I think is that a lot of guides are maxing out survival instinct. However, even if I'm going with a pet build, uh, and when I'm watching these guides, a lot of times, or most of the times, what I see is that their wolves rarely go below 50% health. So they are sitting at 15 wasted points. This passive might be good for the X-Mess mode, when a lot more mobs are killing your wolves, but other than that, I don't see putting more than 1 point here justified. Um, if you are annoyed with how often you have to resummon your wolves in a pet build during normal difficulty, then I guess it's okay to put a few extra points here, but I would respect them once they are strong enough for sure. With the nymph, I mostly rely on her for the additional survivability, and the reason I also skip Earthbind is that I just let the nymph do the Sylvan protection, which it has a lot of similarities, or maybe it's actually the same skill, and I just let her use this skill, and I just skip Earthbind as a result. And yeah, as I mentioned with Plague, so putting more points into Plague can be nice for the additional duration, but yeah, most likely it's not really worth putting more than 1 point here for this build. So when it comes to leveling as a champion, I recommend going with Warfare. I also advise you to check out Kerplunk Gaming, as he has an Act 1 Quickstart guide for every single mastery. I believe that he goes with probably weapon training in his guide. I did end up going with onslaught instead, but both should be okay. So the good thing with warfare is that it's at the beginning it's quite difficult to go wrong with it. So really just start climbing the mastery. Put maybe 1 point in onslaught, climb the mastery tree a little bit more, maybe more points in onslaught, and go just like that. Once you reach dual wield, put 1 point into that so you can equip two weapons. Getting 1 point in weapon training, 1 point in dodge attack can be nice. Just 1 points for now. Maybe 1 point into Warren Horn so you can stun, but really after that, just climbing the tree, and when you feel like, okay, I'm not doing really enough damage, then just putting more points into onslaught, maybe maxing it out as well. Ignore pain, 1 point, and then just again climbing the tree. Yeah, once you reach level 10, 1 point in battle standard, and then 1 point into its passive. It's really nice to max. So this is one of the best skill in the game, and it's nice. It's good to max it out. I believe I didn't max it out for quite a while, because even with just 1 point, it was good enough for bosses. And yeah, so I ended up maxing it out a little bit later, but yeah, and then again just maxing out onslaught for the damage. 1 point into Doomhorn. So yeah, it's nothing too crazy or too complicated, I think. And during this process, if you ever feel like you don't have enough HP, or you are too squishy, then you can go ahead and start putting points into nature as well, and most likely you will be doing enough damage, so you don't really need wolves or anything like that. But just climbing the mastery and getting a maxed out Heart of Oak with Permanence of Stone, and you really much are good with resistances and HP. So yeah, if you ever feel squishy when climbing or going with warfare, just pick up nature on the way and max out Heart of the Oak, and you should be okay. So when it comes to items, what items to look out for, what items to farm, I really recommend a really nice post by Zardoz. He has it, so it's really a full. It's a forum post, but it's basically a guide of, for every difficulty with every act, what should you look out for, what you should farm. Um, One thing I will say is that in Act 1, there's a quest boss called it's a satyr, a brute satyr, and basically he has 10% or almost 10% chance to be wielding a stone hammer. And if you feel like it, I would advise to farm these out. You can get two for your dual wield, and one thing to look out for is that once you complete the quest, the boss will disappear. So just make sure that you don't actually, finish the quest. You just kill him and then restart the game. And once you have your stone hammers, then you can go ahead and talk to the NPC and get the quest completed. One other thing that I wanted to mention here, and I believe Zardoz mentions this as well a few times here, that if you simply don't feel like it, especially in the early game, uh, if you don't feel like it, or it seems like you are having a bad luck, then it's just feel free to just skip a lot of these farming spots. As I said, especially in the early game, you don't need a Stonebinder scuffs on normal. If it's not dropping or you don't feel like it, just skip the normal difficulty one, and you know you will get one in epic, or even in epic it's I think it's okay to skip it and go for the legendary one if you feel like it, or if it's simply not dropping because of bad luck. And apart from this, yeah, I wanted to mention that in Act 1 and Act 2 on normal difficulty, it's kind of difficult to get meaningful resistances. So normally I just go with any big HP items I can find, or I can shop from vendors. Um, and yeah, pretty much that's about it. And there's one other thing that he also mentions is that, you know, vendor shopping in his guide, that you have the hallowed helm in Act 3 that you can just shop and stuff like this. So yeah, definitely look out for vendors because they have some really nice stuff. But yeah, I will link his post in the description, and go ahead and check it out. It's really well written. And for the last part of the video, I just want to show you guys a quick, hopefully quick Typhon kill. One thing I keep forgetting to mention is that the artifact I ended up going with is Star of Istar. Nice physical resistance, elemental resistance, and nice bonuses to strength and dexterity. So yeah, let's go ahead and kill Typhon. So hopefully one thing that you guys will see is that, as I said, this is legendary difficulty, and yeah, watch out for these guys because they can remove your Heart of the Oak. But yeah, so hopefully something that you can see is that even though it's legendary and I barely have enough points in Call of the Wild, it's still not too annoying when it comes to resummoning your wolves. They do die, but they don't die that frequently, and more importantly, when it matters, they have the strength of the pack up, and I can deal even more damage that way. Yeah, these guys can be a little bit annoying, but let's just put down battle standard and we should be okay. And yeah, it's okay if they die at Typhon, it's no problem. And there you go. Let's check out the drop right quick. Maybe something really nice this time. And it's not. Okay, see you guys in the next video.